health and towards a better material standard of living. But it's quite difficult because most of the Indian media, a bit like the Western media, is controlled by men. And so if you were to try and understand, take a view on what women's aspirations are from looking at Indian films, for example, you would imagine their aspirations are to wear very few clothes and dance around shaking their bodies. But I suspect that's mainly because the films are made by men for a largely male audience. To find out what women's aspirations are, you'd have to do qualitative research to find it out. It would be interesting. Do you make friends with locals? Do you keep in touch? Well, I've lived in India and in Cambodia and Eritrea and Tanzania in the last 10 years, and I've made very good local friends in all of those places, and I keep in touch with them, but not generally with the subjects of our research, because these people are very, very different from me. If you imagine, if you think about your own friendship group, most of your friends are probably from a similar background, age group, etc. to you. You probably don't have that many friends, who've never been to school, or, it's just a part of human nature that you have friendships with people who are similar to you. And so no, I haven't kept in touch with our research respondents. The worst place I've ever worked, well, that's tricky because different places are bad for different reasons. I think Jamaica was the most dangerous place I worked. It's the only place I've worked where I didn't feel safe. The ghettos of Jamaica, where I was working near Government Yard in Trenchtown, actually, you remember from the Bob Marley song, and very, very violent, a lot of guns, very unstable, and a place that doesn't welcome outsiders at all. And we were working with young women to look at their risk of contracting HIV, and that felt very unsafe, very edgy, and I didn't enjoy being there at all, although it was fascinating. Haiti as well, I didn't feel very safe, and I think that was a fascinating place to work, but again, quite difficult. I think in terms of the situation of the people, Nepal is the worst. The stories we get from Nepali women are the most heart-wrenching and appalling to listen to. But I think Eritrea, where I've been living until 6 months ago, is the worst overall, just in that the situation for the people there, because of the political regime and everything, is just worse, is so hopeless on every front. Everything is getting worse. The situation for people is dire, the poverty is horrific, and there's no real cause for optimism in a country like Eritrea in East Africa, and so I think that's probably the worst. Last question is, how did I qualify for my job? Well, I was at university doing development studies because I was interested in developing countries and working in them, and I was briefly unemployed for a few months, and it was no fun at all, had no money. So I was looking for a relevant master's, and I thought public health would be interesting. So I did a master's in public health, which I enjoyed. And a master's in public health is more of a vocational qualification, if you like. A lot of master's degrees can be rather theoretical, and therefore when you've finished you're not that employable, whereas a master's in public health or other similar courses that are a bit more practical and applied is quite good for finding a job at the end of it. And I did get a job in research. I did research for a few years, both quantitative and qualitative research in public health, looking at the NHS and the effect of housing on health and things like that. And then I got a very brief consultancy in India, and once you have a bit of developing country experience, it's easy to get more, relatively easy. So from there I got another research job based in Tanzania, and then a job with my current organisation, then did a PhD, and a PhD in health governance, and now I'm a governance advisor for a project in India, based on that experience and qualifications, and very lucky. All right, that's all the questions. Hope you found them useful. Any more, just give me a shout. Cheers.